think the biggest thing, and I see it now in the work world, is community. Is because when you go to a big institution, you meet a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And then outside of work, not outside of school, when you start working,
Yeah.
you meet these people, and
Again,
it's easier
yeah.
for you to like
navigate
through
yeah.
things because you have this community. Whereas with me, it was like this many people. So having connections and having people to ask questions, I think that was difficult.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, and I think this is just purely from a social perspective. I didn't party as much as the normal person. I didn't party that much.
Me too. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing well. And yes, I'm back with another legal segment. And this one was in high demand. I'm so excited for this one. Today I've got a special guest. She'll introduce herself shortly. And as you would have seen from the title of this video, she is a former UNISA student. And we're going to talk about making it in big law, big accounting, and being from UNISA. What are the challenges that she faced? And also, we're here to inspire because a lot of people have asked for a real life example of a person who's been to UNISA, who studied at UNISA, but they still made it big. So without any wastage of time, I'm going to ask her to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I feel like there's so much pressure because you're like,
no.
So many people have been asking for this. So my name is Jula, as you already mentioned. Yeah. I am an attorney. I'm a tax attorney. I hail from a little town called Springs. I can't say little, but it is. A little town called Springs in the East Rand. I come from humble background. My mom's a teacher. My dad's an electrician. And I decided at the tender age of 16 that I was going to become an attorney.
Wow.
And here I am today.
My mom's also a teacher.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Oh, I just want to say how I met Jula, by the way, because I remember at my first day at the firm last year, when I went for lunch, you were the first person to be like, hi.
I was like, hi. I was like, are you on YouTube?
Yes. And then I sat alone, and then you invited me to come sit with you guys at your table. So that's how I met Jula. She's very wonderful, and I'm very glad that she's here to do this video with us. So I'm going to start asking you the questions. Yeah.
Cool.
So what qualifications do you hold?
So I have a BCom law, and then I did my LLB both through UNISA.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And record time?
Yeah, in
5
the
years.
requisite amount of time. Yeah, so in 5. So because UNISA, they don't do it like normal universities, so I did it in 5.5 years. So how it worked is I did my BCom in 3 years, and then if I had to do my LLB in like the required amount of time at UNISA, I would have had to do it for another 3 years. Okay. So what I did is I did 2 years full time of LLB, and then I did 6 months of my other one because then I got like condonation, like a special condonation to do 8 modules in my last semester. So I was working full time and I did 8 modules.
Okay. Is that why you studied at UNISA? Because you were working?
No, it's not why I was working at UNISA. I think. So I worked at UNISA. I studied at UNISA. I studied at UNISA because when I was in high school, you know how the career people come and tell you come study at our university, blah 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 blah. So one of the people that came to our school was an advocate by the name of Michelle Saville, right? And she ran like a tuition school type thing.
Okay.
And she would offer tuition for UNISA students. So you sign up with UNISA, and then you would go to classes to her like full time. Okay. So that's how I got to the whole UNISA thing. Because how I got to that is that I applied to regular universities, but she had offered a scholarship. So she was like, write an essay about why you think I should give you a scholarship, and I got a scholarship there. And for me, for like from financial perspective of alleviating the burden on my parents, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity. It's just because I've got the bursary. Yeah, it made sense. And that's how I ended up studying through UNISA. Okay. So I would get the tuition through Michelle's school, and then I would go to write my exams through UNISA. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And what were your biggest challenges then studying at UNISA?
I think the biggest thing, and I see it now in the work world, is community. Is because when you go to a big institution, you meet a whole lot of people. Yeah. And then outside of work, not outside of school, when you start working, you meet these people, and it's easier for you to like
navigate
through things because you have this community. Whereas with me, it was like this many people. So having connections and having people to ask questions, I think that was difficult.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, and I think this is just purely from a social perspective. I didn't party as much as the normal person. I didn't party that much. Why? Focus.
I think I really was an introvert, and then at some point I became an introverted extrovert, but I was just like, I'm not interested.
Wait, so this is off topic, but do you think that you changed because you had to do it for work? Like the environment you worked in forced you to become
yes, definitely.
Samesies.
Yes. Okay, so you don't have any other challenges but the social.
So it was the social thing. So there was material sometimes. So sometimes you would wait for your material for a long time. I don't know if it's still the same now because I think we still got like physical copies of our books.
Yeah.
And then I think now maybe you get the digital version, which is easier. That was a delay that we had. What other challenges did I face? I mean, because I went to school, it made it easier because you had Michelle that would navigate things with you. It's also, at the time, my friends that were going to like conventional university, as soon as you say, oh, you're going to UNISA, be like, oh, shame for you.
Oh, no.
Because, people think, oh, you didn't qualify to get into normal university. No.
Even back then?
Yes.
When did you study?
So I completed my matric in 2009. So I would have studied in 2010. Yeah.
Okay. I thought the UNISA chat was recent.
No. Even back then, like there was a stigma. Shame, you poor thing. You didn't get into conventional university. Yeah. No, my marks were good enough. I had really amazing results.
Yeah.
I just chose this because from a financial perspective, it made sense. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, do you think then the degree or like the level of the degree, the quality of the degree is at the same standard as conventional universities?
I would say yes, because if I put myself up now with my peers that I work with, I can't see a difference between me and them and the quality of work that I produce.
You produce, okay.
Yes,
okay.
I
it's the same.
It's the same,
yeah.
If not better. I mean,
no, I rate that.
Yes, because I can't see the difference.
Yeah. And then what I want to know is you said there was a career day.
Yes.
When it came to like applying for jobs.
No, for applying for. So how I got to working. So I did eventually start working and studying, right?
Okay.
And how I got to working was because one of the lecturers at the school that I was going to was a lawyer who ran her own firm, and she had said to me, do you want to start like working part-time for me? Okay. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, for me, when you're young like that and someone offers you an opportunity to work, you think, oh my gosh, this person thinks I'm amazing. I'm so clever.
Yeah.
And that's how I took on that part-time job.
Yeah.
And then I worked with her for a bit, and then we did moot court. So the school then organized a moot court for us at a law firm in Boksburg. And post this moot court, they then called me and then said, would you like to start articles? And I was like,
oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like to them, I've only got my BCom. So at the time, I'm like, I just completed my BCom. I've just started my LLB. I don't have, an LLB to start articles. They're like, no, that's not a problem. Because you've got a BCom, you can then register for 3-year articles.
Okay.
And then once you've completed, and then you can do your articles and your LLB simultaneously.
Okay.
And because it was a confidence boost, I didn't think of like, I'm going to be studying and working full time. All I thought about was like, these people think I'm amazing.
It's the first time I meet a person who did articles with a BCom law.
Really?
I
had a BCom law, and I was doing articles, and they were paying me 5,000 rand.
Wow. But like, you don't get a lot of people who get offered articles at BCom law level. That's actually quite rare and special. Also, I think it speaks to your abilities as well. Or what they saw in you, the potential.
What they saw, they saw me in the moot court. I think it does speak to that. But I'm not going to lie and say that, yes, getting that was a confidence booster. Getting that job offer was really a confidence booster. But doing it, because you would do 5 modules and I would work full time, that wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Especially at that young age. I think when you work and study when you're older, you have a different perspective because you have an own end goal in mind. When you're that young, it's strenuous on you.
Yeah. I just want to highlight this thing that you said they saw the potential in you whilst you were doing moot court.
Yeah.
So I'm pointing extracurricular activities out yet again, because it's just a way of marketing yourself and getting yourself out there. Were you doing tax?
No.
What did you do?
So the firm that I work at was like a general law firm.
Okay.
So anything but criminal. It's just a civil litigation firm. Okay. So they did everything family law. Well, yeah.
Okay. And then you finished your LLB at that firm?
Yeah, finished my LLB at that firm in the day. And I remember, because I told you in my final semester I'd taken eight modules, and I was working full time. So I worked full time and I was doing 8 modules. So I was my peak.
Yeah.
I was not the nicest person. If you met me that time, I apologize profusely. I was not a nice person. So the day I got my results, I remember it was a day that I could resign on. I got my results that morning. I cried because of relief of saying, oh my gosh, this journey is over. Yeah. And I went to my boss and I was like, I got my results this morning. I passed. And he was so happy. And I was like, and I'm resigning. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have anything. I was like, I'm done here.
So how long had you done your articles for?
So I had done my articles for 2.5 years. So I'd abandoned articles.
Yeah, because you haven't finished.
Because I hadn't finished the 3-year contract. Yeah. So because I was hatful, I then had started doing research as to if I stopped doing my articles now, what would happen. Yeah. So I abandoned articles after 2.5 years. And because of that missing 6 months, all I had to do was ask for condonation because I'd served the minimum requirement of 2 years. Okay. So that's what I did. Oh. So when I did my application, I then did a condonation request for abandoning articles.
And you got admitted?
I got admitted. Stressed.
That's actually a nice way of doing it. Like you finish your BCom, your LLB at the same time that you're getting admitted. Yeah. Jeez. That's really cool. So
but you're saying I waited a year before I got admitted.
Oh, really? Yes. Why? Because you took long to to do the application, or
I took long to do the application, and because I then started working at the audit firm where I started doing tax. Okay. And there was no requirement for me to be admitted. Okay. I worked in an audit firm. Okay. I didn't need.
Okay, let's talk about the audit firm. Okay. So you went there with a LLB. Basically, you applied
a BCom and LLB,
a
qualified person. Yeah.
Attorney, or like what were you?
So I went there as an attorney because I went there in their tax dispute department. Okay. Yeah. And
how did you find your experience? This is Big Four,
Yeah,
right?
This is Big Four. So I went from doing articles in like a medium-sized law firm in Boksburg to going to a Big Four audit firm in the world. Big Four in the world audit firm. And that was it was like whiplash. Like you were like, for the first few months, I felt like a deer in headlights because I was like, I just went from being like in a small town, and here I am now in this big environment, and you're not just talking to people in South Africa, you're talking to people in other countries as well. It was a reality check. Yeah. But at the same time, I knew, in articles, as much as the firm that I worked in wasn't a horrible firm, but I knew that I didn't belong there, that I wanted to do bigger things. Yeah. This is nice, but surely there's better things. And when I got to the audit firm, as much as it was like a shock to my system, I was like, I want to make it here, and I need to make sure that I do my best to make it here. Yeah. So you have that moment of having your deer in headlights moment, but then you need to just snap out of it and start doing the work.
I say that tax attorneys are the smartest people.
Thanks.
Like, taxes that stuff dribbles me, bruh. Why? Julia, like, please, like, I don't want to see tax in an M&A transaction because I literally, my brain starts, like, switching. How long were you at the audit firm for?
I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for 3 years. So you can imagine coming from an environment where I didn't do tax, because I didn't even do tax in my BCom, in my LLB. I did tax in my BCom, but I didn't do it in my LLB because it was the hardest module at UNISA. Oh, wow. And they were like, you're going to fail. And I would have had to do it in my last semester. And that last semester, I told you I was khatful. I was like, I'm not going to do something where I have a possibility of failing, because I hadn't failed a module at UNISA ever, and I wasn't going to start in my final semester. Yeah. So that was my first time. I cut my teeth in tax at the firm. I was grateful that there were people that saw potential in me, enough to give me the opportunity to say, you have no tax experience, but here you are, we're giving you a full-time job.
Yeah.
Come,
That's
let's
amazing.
see what you can do. Yeah.
Why did you leave?
The audit firm. A 16-year-old me who decided that she's going to become a lawyer always had that dream of going to work for a
law firm.
Yeah, a big law firm, Big Five. I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
If you're studying an LLB, there's a chance that you think to yourself, I want to go work for those shiny names. Yes. So that's why I left. Yeah, that's why I left.
And that's where you were, where we met?
Yes, that's where we met, yeah.
And how was your experience? I mean, we don't want to go into too much detail.
It was nice. I actually think I learned a lot from there. The people I worked with, the partners I worked with, taught me a lot.
Yeah.
From like a dispute perspective, because what you get away from when you're at the audit firm is like the court stuff and the dispute stuff, and then I got more exposure to that.
Yeah.
I left, and another reason I left is because I was saying, I'm doing this tax dispute thing. Let me try something else. Tax is such a vast thing.
Yes.
Let me do anything else other than tax dispute.
Yeah.
And then when I got to the law firm, I was exposed to other things, and I was like, that's all right, but I really do like that tax dispute thing. Maybe I was in the right place. But sometimes, you just need to
experience other things to know what it is that you actually want to do. So, take a chance here and there, and also get the experience, because I can imagine that working in an audit firm and a law firm is not the same.
No, it isn't.
Right?
No, it isn't. No, it's not the same. But I enjoyed my experience at the law firm. I really enjoyed my experience at the law firm, meeting the people that I did, and just being with like a group of attorneys, because at the audit firm, the most important people are the CAs. And you guys are you're the others.
The other people.
You're like you're the co-stars, and they're like the main acts. So it was nice to be like with attorneys and mingling with attorneys, and that was a nice experience.
So, having had the experience that you've had, right, Big Four, Big Five, do you think the normal UNISA student, not the normal, but an ordinary UNISA, an everyday UNISA student has similar chances? And if so, what are the characteristics or the particular skills that they require in order to sort of make it, quote unquote, make it? Yeah.
So I think one of the things that stigmatizes UNISA students, when someone sees you as coming from UNISA, they think that you took longer to do your degree than the normal person. So if you have an opportunity and you can, and I know it's hard, do all the modules. So if there's a maximum that you can do of 5 modules so that you can complete your degree within the requisite time, do it. Don't do this thing of like taking 2 here and 2 there, because it doesn't look as good to employers. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But it looks terrible to employers the longer you take to do something.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that it's like that, because UNISA is built in to allow that flexibility, but unfortunately employers, when they see that, they just think, oh, you took so long to do that, or how are you going to fare in a high pressure environment?
Yeah.
So I would say try do all your modules at once, and don't do this thing of, a few days before the exam you decide not to go right. Just go right.
Yeah.
Just go do it. Bite the bullet to do it. Another thing that will set you apart is doing extramural activities, like you said, like doing things like moot court. UNISA has so many activity type things, extramural things, but you need to read the emails and be aware of the things that are out there. So participating in things like that to build that community, I think would help you. And those are things that you can put on your CV, as well as I took part in this, and it looks like you didn't just sit at home by yourself, being an introvert. Unfortunately, if you are an introvert, going into big firms, you're gonna morph. This is the thing we were saying earlier. You're gonna have to morph, and because they're trying to build a consultant out of you, and a consultant goes out to look for work, and you client facing. So as a UNISA student, those are the kind of things you need to take yourself out of that box and try and make your university experience as close to a conventional university experience as possible.
Are marks important?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Okay.
I mean, I did well, personally. I think there comes a time when marks stop mattering. I think once you're like when you've been working for years. I mean, I've been working for a long time
they're looking at your experience.
Yeah, now they're looking at my experience. But in the beginning, marks are important, so you must concentrate on that. And I think being a UNISA student, it's hard. It's very hard, and going through that material by yourself takes a hell of a lot of discipline. But at the end of the day, it's your future. You need to be the one that invests in your future. So you need to knuckle down and put in the work. And it's not hard to get a distinction. I mean, it just takes you putting in the work. It's challenging, as with most things, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Any tips for UNISA students who want to succeed? I know we've been touching on it.
Touched on it
throughout.
Just don't just be a UNISA student. Be more than. So participate in extramural activities. If there's things like VAC work that needs to be done, okay, I didn't do VAC work because I was working. Yeah. If there's things like VAC work that can be done, do that. And if you're working and studying, which is generally the thing with UNISA people, try not to prolong your studies for too long. Because of work. Because of work. Yeah. Try not to prolong your studies. You made the decision that you're taking this course on. So make sure that you then dedicate your time to saying, I've taken this thing and I'm going to do it in the requisite amount of time of 4 years. If it takes you an additional year, fine. But just knuckle down and do it. It sounds so terrible, to be telling people you can't be laissez-faire with your thing. But if you want to succeed, you need to just knuckle down, put your head down and do it. But yeah.
I have to ask, now that you are back in auditing, right? Mm-hmm. Is it a different firm?
Same one.
Oh, you
went back. I went back home.
They're like, welcome to it. Home. And you're set. That's where you're going to be.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to be for a while. I mean, I enjoyed my experience at the law firm, but I think I cut my teeth in tax at that particular place. Yeah. It's the people. At some point, it stopped being the name of the company that you work for, but also the people that you work for. Yes. So my partner at the moment is the one that hired me. So the one that first got me into tax. And then I went back and I work for her now. Again, so it's her. She's the reason I work where I work. Yeah, she's the reason I work.
And I think what I'm also getting from this is that the particular area of tax as a specialty has vast opportunities, because I can't imagine having an opportunity to work at an auditing firm as a public lawyer. I mean,
you'd be shocked. So yesterday we had career day, right? And I was part of the tax delegation of career day, and I was looking at all the other tables. I was shocked to find out that we have an energy section. I was like, how?
Really?
Yeah, and part of the energy section, they have climate change people.
Oh, wow. Lawyers?
Yes. Well, they have lawyers in there, but in tax as well. Tax, we have an engineer that works in tax, in the carbon tax department.
Yes.
So I don't think you should limit yourself. And also there's lawyers that work in the legal department, general legal department. General legal. But there's lawyers throughout the several departments, even in SAT, which is our M&A. So we have M&A lawyers there as well. So, yeah.
So tax is not special? Is that what you're saying? I was really trying to be guys, do tax.
Oh, no! Tax is special, guys. I love tax. If there's one thing I love in the world, it's tax.
It's hard, but I think hard. No, Julia, please, let's not downplay it. That thing is not easy. I really think I actually want to do a short course in really? Tax, because it comes up a lot in M&A, and I think it would be useful just to have a basic understanding
of tax.
But I'm advocating for it more and more. People must go do tax law.
Yeah,
and,
I think
thrive.
People must do tax law. I think there's a lot of us. No, actually, the tax society is this tiny.
Small.
Yeah, it's actually this tiny.
So there's opportunities.
There's opportunities in tax. Yeah, there's opportunities in tax. I think if you really are passionate about tax and you want to do it, come join us.
So guys, that's Jula, and that's from a UNISA student's mouth.
Yeah, so UNISA students who made it in big
law,
and a big audit.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions for her,
yeah,
your LinkedIn or
so LinkedIn and either. I mean LinkedIn or my socials.
Okay.
Yeah.
The details are going to come up here anyway.
Somewhere.
So please do ask her, because I think a lot of UNISA students will reach out to you, Jula, because they can relate. And I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure.
Sweet and short, okay? Sweet and short. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.